This is my incredible story of how I lost people I loved, ended up in a total burnout at my job, and how I got back to life. Some things are hard for me to talk about. This will be emotional, but also inspiring, so f it. No fears, no doubts, no regrets. I am usually aware that there is a lot of beauty and color in life. But there was a time not long ago where I definitely failed to see that. It was right in the middle of the COVID pandemic. At that time I was working as a medical doctor in the internal department. And it was about that time where life started to give me some setbacks. It wasn't just one thing in my private life. It was basically one situation after the other, which just escalated quickly. It was actually my birthday when it became clear that the relationship I was in at that time just broke apart, and it was a quite intense relationship because it started right at the beginning of the COVID pandemic. That woman meant a lot to me. It was the only person I saw for quite some time due to the lockdowns. Yeah. And it broke apart in a bad way. And we lost contact from one day to the other. And right at that time, it also happened that my mother was hospitalized and was COVID positive. Her condition got worse day for day. She died about 1 to 2 days after being transferred to the ICU. The next thing was that the internal department where I worked suddenly turned into a COVID department too. And working at the COVID department was quite hard for me to what actually happened to my mother also. So I remember working up to 85 hours a week without a single day off, and I was just exhausted. There was basically no time whatsoever, to cope with any of the situations that had occurred in my private life. So I just worked like a robot. I was just sleeping and working. After what happened to my mother, there was this time where everything in life just felt like like, you know, watching it all through a bubble somehow. And I remember that there was not much happiness at the time, I guess. No. One year after being at the internal department, my time there was about to come to an end. The next 2 years were planned and had a tight schedule where I would just switch from one department to the other. I just listened to myself at that time, and I felt the level of exhaustment, resignation. It was pretty clear to me at that point that whatever might happen, I wouldn't be able to continue like this. I therefore contacted the office at the hospital association where I worked, and I just told them I am really sorry and that there were some hard times. And I basically asked them what kind of options we have for me, you know, to take some time off without getting paid, of course. Since my country generally lacks physicians, I was pretty sure that we could come to an arrangement somehow. The message I got was, what the f***, I think that there's only two options. Either I go on with the rotations planned for me, or I'd have to quit. Period. I felt so disrespected. Incredible. After the conversation, I just went out of the hospital and I lit a cigarette. I thought about the last year of my life, and then I thought back at my time in Thailand after my studies back in 2019, and I reminisced what it felt like. Feeling the sand on my bare feet. With every little step of mine. So full of peace and gratitude. And so in touch with everything around. So calm. So free. There's some things, you know, either you respect others or you don't. If you don't, you might end up with answers that you don't want to hear. I came to the conclusion that the only person responsible for my unhappiness is myself. If you're unhappy with a system and you cannot change it, the system is not gonna change for you. So you either stay there and remain unhappy, or you leave. I quit. Cheers. After having some time for myself, I had some crazy and funny ideas on what to do with my spare time until I'd get a new job. Like decorating the ceiling of my flat with LED clouds to always remember that there is light to come whenever I want it. And I remembered how my mother was always very proud of my creativity when I was young, and that I just loved to take my father's 8mm camera, just make videos of plays that I did with my friends. I decided to let my creativity spark again and just do a YouTube channel. And since I loved cooking, let's do a YouTube channel for cooking, and here it is. What do you think I did next? I got online and immediately took out a loan from my bank. To get back to the islands. Koh Phangan, Hat Yao. The beach of my catharsis. I lit some incense sticks, memory of my mother. At that spot where I sat back in 2019 and watched the ocean, beauty of life in its purest form, I guess. And that was just the beginning of my journey. I walked with the most friendly giants you can meet, fed them. I went to the jungle of Khao Sok and basically told a kleptic monkey to please not steal my cigarettes. It was a mistake. I went all the way from the east to the west, made it to Krabi, and from there to Phi Phi Islands. And when I was young and I watched the beach with DiCaprio, and I had always wanted to see whether their beauty exists. So I finally went to visit Maya Bay, and hell yeah, it is beautiful. It was exactly 1 year after all that had begun, and I was back in Thailand. It was my birthday, and I spent it on the wonderful beach, just like I had imagined. And not alone, but together with a wonderful woman who had traveled 8,000 kilometers from my city to share this moment with me. And we were dancing quite happily. Life is short and precious, and a unique experience. Your experience. No job in life is worth it if it blurs your perspective on this. At any point. And I can say with 100% certainty that there has not been a single second in my life where I had any regrets of my decision back then. I saw this young guy recently who passed by me. He had this hoodie, and on it there was a text, and it said, "Die with memories, not dreams." That's quite nice, I think. I like it. I'm pretty confident that I am not alone with this attitude. Am I? You ever been through a time like me? What were your coping strategies? Write them down in the comments below. Thanks for tuning in. Now, let's cook. Welcome to Funky Kitchen.